Rogers TV.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Call this meeting to order. Let's see, Deputy Mayor, would you do us the honor of reading our land acknowledgement, please?
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Corner Brook as the ancestral homeland of different populations of Indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of the Biapi, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we had a regular meeting this week. Would someone like to move the approval of the agenda, please?
I'll move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contraminded? Carried. We have some minutes from our regular meeting on February 17th. Would someone like to move the approval of the minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Or seconded?
Seconder. Excellent.
Can't be both.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Carried. Do we have any business arising from the minutes? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I did ask last meeting, Mr. Mayor, just if you don't mind, I did ask last meeting if staff could look at the issue around the indigenous on people's properties.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got any update on that.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have conducted some initial research on this. St. John's has a bylaw that actually prevents, it's illegal to feed wildlife, and it puts an exemption for songbirds. So it is something that we're looking at to add to our legislation. Not sure where we're putting it yet. They have it in a property legislation, so we were looking at animal control, but property may make more sense. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We don't actually have any active complaints, though, about that. So I know that you and actually Councilor Grant brought it up as well, but we haven't received an address of any specific complaint. So if, again, to the public, if there is something specific, let us know. We can often, I guess, encourage certain behaviors outside of having something in place.
I've said it on the
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Okey-doke. Okay, proclamations and events. We declared March Amyloidosis Awareness Month, and that's a group of diseases that occur when an abnormal protein known as amyloid builds up in tissues and organs in the body. And we declared the month to raise awareness, fund research, and support those living with amyloidosis and their loved ones. As well, March 3rd to 7th was declared Swim for Hope Week. And 2025 marks the 28th annual Swim for Hope fundraising event for cancer care in Corner Brook and throughout Newfoundland and Labrador. Last year, the Rapids raised over $10,000 and more than $160,000 over the years for local cancer care. That was this weekend. I know
Yes.
Deputy Mayor was there.
Can I add to that, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On Friday night, they announced that they had raised almost $14,000.
Excellent.
At that point.
Perfect.
So it was a great event.
Good. Congratulations and thank you to the swimmers. And as well, of course, on Saturday we had International Women's Day. And it's a day to celebrate the achievements, strength, and resilience of women. This year's theme is to accelerate action, emphasizing the urgency and advancing gender parity and supporting initiatives that empower women and girls. So again, a happy Women's Day to our counselors and our staff, of course, that make our city run. So very important, of course, to acknowledge more than half of our population. Thank you very much. The first item we have here is a change for the Corner Brook Regional Recreation Center. Councillor Pender.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is change order 066 regarding the HRV unit replacement. This change order covers the supply cost of the new heat recovery ventilator, or HRV, unit to replace the existing malfunctioning unit which services the cage rooms on level 1. The installation cost of the unit will be covered in a separate change order. Under the initial contract, it was planned to keep the existing HRV unit in place, and the contractor was responsible for repairs of the unit if required during the course of construction. After many parts were replaced by the contractor, the unit stopped functioning altogether. Therefore, replacement of the HRV unit is required. So the proposed resolution be resolved that the City of Corner Brook approve change order number 66 for Pomelo Inc. for the Corner Brook Regional Recreation Center in the amount of $47,212.30, HST included. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
one question. So after reading this, since we got our booklet, our agenda, sorry,
Yep.
and listening to the councillor, so I make the assumption that the heat recovery ventilation unit wasn't operational when construction started to take place? Or there must have been some knowledge to word it such that they would include the cost of the parts. So obviously, if up front there was a understanding that someone would have to include the cost of the parts, there must have been some knowledge that the heat recovery ventilation unit was not 100% operational when we embarked upon the journey to do the retrofit at the university. Would that be accurate?
I don't know, Mr. Charters, would you? Oh, okay, we have Andrew O'Brien here tonight. Who are you filling in for? Are you filling in for recreation or engineering?
I'm filling for Mr. Burden today.
Oh, are you? Okay, well, Mr. Burden, tell us what the situation is here.
Sure, you're correct. So, through you, Mr. Mayor, essentially, when the contract went out, the heat recovery valve was near the end of its life, but it was still functioning. So, as part of that, the contract was to keep it functional throughout the contract. With many replacements, parts actually became unavailable for it, and hence the reason now we'll replace it.
Follow-up question.
Yes, go ahead.
So the cost of all of the parts that have gone into the previous heat recovery unit would have amounted to a certain dollar. We would have included that into a change order sometime in the last number of months. What was that cost, and would that be returned back to the city or back to the project overall cost? For example, this new one is $50,000 plus HST.
47 HST.
Sorry, 47,000 HST included, roughly $50,000. What was the cost of the parts, and did we already approve a change order of those parts in the old system?
Mr. O'Brien?
Yep, through you, Mr. Mayor. So, to clarify, they were responsible for taking care of any replacement parts, so no cost to the city for the replacement parts up at HRV.
It was part of the initial contract.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes?
Okay, and not to beat this to a pulp, but it says, if required during the course of construction. Correct me if I'm wrong, construction's still happening up there, isn't it? Construction's not finished yet.
We are approaching the very end of construction. I think it's, we're very hopeful that we're going to get substantial completion in the next few weeks.
So how, and I guess I need to add on to what Councillor Granter asked, how do we know this is our responsibility?
Mr. O'Brien?
It may be a question that nobody can answer.
No, that's fine. So, through you, Mr. Mayor. So, essentially, again, the way it's worded is the repairs were the responsibility of the contractor. At this stage, with the age of the unit, there are no parts available, so we can't repair it. It's completely non-functioning, and it needs to be replaced.
And who would have made the call that it would be, trying to fix it rather than replace it? Because it does say, and we do realize that it was at the end of its shelf life when construction started. So they were going to repair. Would it not have been cheaper if we added it all together?
I think that
And I don't want to get down to
yeah,
weeds,
no, I
and
think
maybe
that
that's where I am now.
on a $25+ million
Yeah.
project where you're retrofitting partly an old building and a new building, there are going to be things that I guess where you estimate that you're not going to have to replace it and you can repair it or things like that. The contractor, of course, makes a bid on these things, making assumptions, and then we have to make assumptions as well, and then somewhere we meet in the middle sometimes.
Yeah.
And in this case here, I guess that both us and the contractor were hoping we wouldn't have to do a full replacement. We could make do with what was there, but it sounds like now that's not the case. That was right, Mr. O'Brien?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
It's, yeah. Anything,
Yeah.
other question?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just, I know here it says that we will come see another change order for the cost of installation. Do you have any idea what that would be roughly yet? Or is that a separate contract that has to be gone out to the Pomeroy, I guess, or whomever?
Mr.
Yeah,
O'Brien?
sure. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So essentially, the rationale for doing this route is the timing of getting this HRV in place. So we are getting quotes right now, but we need that in order to get the record center open. So we want to get it ordered, get it on the way. We're currently getting quotes to actually do the install, so we'll come back with those.
Okay, so my next follow-up, just so would that incur any time delays in the opening of the center? Because we keep hearing substantial completion in a couple of weeks, and then we hear another change order, another issue, so I'm just trying to...
And as I understand, that we are past the point where we want to get through the substantial part of substantial completion, and any other deficiencies that have to be dealt with like this will be dealt with after we have the keys.
And then one final question, Mr. Mayor. So where are we to now in relation to the total overall budget, based on what we had originally set out as a contract, then with all the change orders, about $2.6 million? Where are we still within the budget that the council approved for this project?
And I don't know who would be best to answer this, Mr. Charters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As I understand it, we're about 7% over budget at this point. But of course, Mr. Burden's keeping a close eye on that, and I don't have those figures, but that's the last number I have heard.
Okay, so, Mr. Mayor, maybe at the next meeting, can we just get a sum total of what we started with, what was bid, change orders, and where we are through today? I think we probably wouldn't have 10% contingency or something. I don't know.
We have, well, we wouldn't have that, this number that I think that Mr. Charters mentioned would include the overall budget,
Right.
not including a whole, like a 10% contingency budget.
Okay, well, whatever.
I think I don't know the last time, we had, I guess, a summary provided to council for, that would have been last fall maybe?
Yes. It's been a while.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure we can get updated.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No,
No?
I'm fine. I'd rather have a credit, but we're not obviously getting it.
Listen, if we're where we are, and considering, I guess, the inflationary period that we went through and doing this, and to get in anywhere under 20% on this would be a miracle. So I think we're in excellent shape. Okay, so do we have anything else before we vote? No? We didn't vote, right?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Okay, speaking of money, Councillor Gill, we have a borrowing resolution.
Thank you. City of Corner Brook is required to borrow to pay for its share of capital projects that are not otherwise financed through operating funds or funding from the federal or provincial governments. The city's borrowing for the 2025 fiscal year will be used to pay for the city's share of the new recreational center 17-CCR-21-00005. Quotes for financing were received from 4 out of 5 chartered banks as follows: TD 3.652%, BMO 3.79%, CIBC 3.91%. We received no quote from Scotiabank, and Royal Bank of Canada quoted 3.62%. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook approved to borrow $5 million for a 5-year term with a 5-year amortization at the lowest quoted rate by RBC Bank at 3.62%. Subject to change as per market rate while final approvals are obtained for the new recreational center. And I'm not going to say that big long number again. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Yeah, one question, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor. Under the proposed resolution, it says, subject to change as per market rate while final approvals are obtained for the new recreation center. So I'm assuming that's a variable rate. Or is it a fixed rate for
No,
5 years?
Mr. Mason, do you mean between the time you got the quote and the time we actually pull the trigger?
Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct. So the rates change continuously.
Right.
But it is fixed. That rate that you see there is just indicative of what the banks would offer that would change based on market prevailing factors.
Understood, Mr. So it is a fixed rate over 5 years?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, any other questions?
Just a quick comment, I guess from me. So the faster we get in and get everything settled, the better our rate will be.
Well, we'll see.
Obviously.
Not necessarily.
I know.
It depends. Who knows? From one news cycle to the next in the States. Things, today the market's dropped, what, another 1.5% or something? Right? So how that affects the interest rates, we'll see, but, yeah.
Yeah. So technically, this could change anytime.
Yep, and this is why I'm so glad that we have Mr. Maestri here. With his experience when it comes to finance and the markets and things, I have all confidence that he'll
He's magic.
get us
No
the best
pressure.
get us the best deal we can get. So, absolutely. Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Okay, Deputy Mayor, we have an RFP for our water audit and leak analysis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This RFD is intended to address the selection of a prime consultant related to water audit and leak analysis project. This project is funded over the 2023-2026 Multi-Capital Works Program and consists of completing an audit of the city's water use. Areas with unaccounted for water use will be focused to complete a leak detection strategy with step testing and leak noise correlation. The City of Cornwall requested proposals to select a prime consultant for the project. The proposed resolution be it resolved that the Council of the City of Cornwall accept the proposal submitted by CBCL for the water audit and leak analysis in the amount of $239,396.60. HST is included in that. The Cornwall City Council authorizes the city manager to sign a PCA agreement with the consultant CBCL on behalf of the City of Cornwall. I so move.
Okay, thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one? Yes, go ahead.
Me?
Yep.
I would like to have explained leak detection strategy with step testing and leak noise correlation.
Well, I'm sure Mr. O'Brien would like nothing more than to explain
Sorry,
this.
Mr. O'Brien.
No, he knows it. You know what? I'm sure that he's face and eyes into this process. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So essentially, the strategy would start with just an overall analysis of our entire system, usage, and different meters throughout. The step detection will look at shutting off different areas, see how that affects our pressures, our usages, and things like that. And then the noise is simply looking around, looking at what noises, what abnormalities are in the water distribution system in certain areas.
Okay.
The step testing, you said, would the water be shut off?
It would be redirected. So several parts of the city have two different feeds. So it'd be redirected to look at where it's fed in a different path, how that affects the pressures downstream.
So there'd be like it wouldn't be people would be losing their water for a certain amount of time or
Hopefully not.
hopefully not.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councilor Patrick.
Mr. Mayor, just a question on the time frame for this, because the way it reads 23-26 multi-year capital work is funded.
That's right.
Is this a one-year project, or is this a project over multiple years?
What do you anticipate, Mr. O'Brien?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the plan would be to get that work started here this spring, finishing up this fall.
I know this was planned, planned in anticipation of a multi-year capital back, a year and a half ago. So this is something we've been talking about doing for quite a while. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my understanding that testing such as this actually in the long run will save us money, will it not?
That's the idea.
Yeah, and so it will mean that residents in the future will not be as likely to lose their water for digging up streets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and the cost of chemical and all the other things that go into
Yeah.
providing clean drinking water.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just reminded me of something, the cost of chemicals, and I know one of the chemicals, at least, that we use here is sourced out of the United States. It's the only place we can get it currently. And given the ongoing relationship that's deteriorating very rapidly with the United States and tariffs and everything else, and as this has been going up, I guess, for the last number of years every year, I would wonder if the staff is actively looking for getting that chemical from somewhere else other than the United States, if there's possibilities in Europe or other jurisdictions.
Yeah, and I don't know that the current contracts we have for chemical, I know, are usually often multi-year contracts, so I'm not sure when we're up again for the standard 3 or 4 that we get.
But we have time now.
I think
to
we did
start.
review those fairly recently. I think just before Christmas we did, Joyce, didn't we? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what options exist for that or what procurement rules even exist, because usually there's only one supplier for...
No, say, Mr. Mayor, nobody knows now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But anyway, I just thought I'd throw it out to Mr. Mayor, because I'm sure in Europe, Germany, anywhere else, they could provide the same chemical.
I know, Mr. Maestri, I know you have been doing some analysis, I guess, on our buying power as in terms of how much we buy in American dollars to American suppliers.
Yes.
Do you have any insight on that for us at this point?
Mr. Mayor, we have limited direct purchasing from, so as Councillor mentioned, chemical costs are one of the major items. However, from an indirect perspective, in terms of our contractors, their exposure to the U.S. will be unladed to us, so that I can't quantify.
Yeah. So there are products that we're buying that are originating probably upstream from the United States, for sure. Let's hope this all gets better. Okay. Did we vote on that? I can't remember. The discussion is getting to...
You make that, no.
I know, yeah. I'm going to have big symbols. Voted
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
probably
no.
put in the budget for some extra post-it notes, maybe?
Nice. Pens, better pens.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Okay, now I'm sure we haven't voted on this one. Riverside Drive Embarkment Risk Assessment. Councillor Pender.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This RFP is for the selection of a prime consultant for the Riverside Drive Embankment Risk Assessment Project. The project, funded through the city's capital out of revenue budget, involves conducting a hydrological assessment, reviewing historical climate data, and developing a risk matrix to help monitor the area. This matrix will serve as a tool for the city staff to determine whether to close the road in the event of heightened landslide risks. 3 proposals were submitted for this project and evaluated according to the RFP criteria. The proposed resolution be it resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook accept the proposal submitted by Stantec for the Riverside Embankment Risk Assessment in the amount of $103,193.40, HST included. The Corner Brook City Council authorizes the city manager to sign the PCA agreement with the consultant, Stantec, on behalf of the City of Corner Brook. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
More of a comment, Mr. Mayor. So this is the landslide that we had on Riverside Drive, and making sure that we have adequate knowledge and data to be able to assess any risks in the future. And if we need to shut it down, then we'll be able to do that before it comes down over the hill and somebody gets into trouble. It's happened before.
That's the
Who
hope,
would have
yes.
thought, but it's happened before. Right?
That is definitely the hope, yeah. But we talked about that some time ago as well, when the RFP first went out, it came up, in the media as well. Because it is interesting, yeah.
No, did we not do something to that effect, like before we opened up the road? Or this in more detail?
We did a very short term to make sure that area was safe,
Okay.
and that we could actually get in there and do the work that had to be done to remediate the damage. But this is a longer term for the whole area on the side.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. And we're done. Stantec, based at Edmonton, right? Right? You're not American.
No, they're out of Alberta, Mr. Mayor, originally.
Okay. Councillor Keeping, we have an interesting event, fundraiser benefiting the Special Olympics.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I usually claim a conflict at this time, but neither myself or any family members now are involved with Special Olympics.
Okay,
so
you're fine.
I'm fine.
I think you're fine. I mean, honest,
Unless you want to have a vote on it.
You-
Neither one.
I-
You're not
unless-
involved, you're not involved.
if everyone
Neither one,
is,
no family members either. So.
everyone's unanimous consent, you're fine.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Keating.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Corner Brook has always been a strong supporter of the Special Olympics. This event invites all first responders and law enforcement officers to gain financial sponsors to have them take a plunge into the cold, dark, ice-covered water of Tippings Pond in their full working uniform. This can be a huge fundraiser for the Special Olympic organization and great fun for everyone, including the dippers and the spectators alike. The Protective Services Department has several staff willing to take the plunge and would like to support them with their support of a great cause by matching the sponsorships up to $500 per staff member, either in the Municipal Enforcement Department or the Corner Brook Fire Department. Proposed resolution, the Council of the City of Corner Brook hereby authorizes the Director of Protective Services to match sponsorships of up to $500 per staff member participating in the 2025 West Coast Polar Plunge fundraising event for the Special Olympics of Newfoundland Labrador. I so move.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one? I think it's a great team-building exercise as well as a great cause. Sure, yes.
I already asked the director if he's going to take part, but I think yes.
Oh, you were volunteering, you wanted to take the plunge? Counselor? I would put, I put some money in the 500.
bet you would.
Counselor.
I bet you all would.
Yeah. No problemo. So we want to amend it to include not just the fire
There you
department.
go.
We should all go up and take the plunge.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, do we have it, I'm sorry, do we have any idea as to how many?
I know in the past, we've had one member of our MEOs have done this.
Yes, right now we have 2 MEOs that are prepared or that are collecting sponsors right now. I assume that we may see a few from the fire department as well. I'm hoping they will participate, but we'll put it out there. They're not aware that we are doing a sponsor. I'm waiting for the approval tonight to be able to promote that over there, so.
No, that's fine.
Good. Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Okay, and Councillor Keeping, another interesting event, Municipal Awareness Week.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Municipal Awareness Week is May 6th to 10th, 2025. To raise awareness and celebrate the week, staff have arranged the following. A poster contest. An email was sent to all the elementary schools inviting students to create a poster that illustrates important roles and duties of city workers and what Corner Brook means to them. The winner will receive a $100 gift card, and the winning poster will be used to promote events during the week. Also doing the essay contest, all grade 6 students were invited to write a one-page essay outlining their campaign plan if they were running for mayor. The winner will receive a $100 gift card and a special recognition opportunity to be determined. The second and the third place winners will receive $50 gift cards. Also, there will be Municipal Awareness Day. Staff are preparing an event at the Civic Center studio on May 9th. Various departments will be on site to showcase their responsibilities, and the event will include outdoor equipment displays, indoor information booths, and a fun zone in the gym. There will also be a barbecue and an opportunity to win some prizes. Schools have been invited to consider a field trip to the May 9th event, and the classes are registered by May 11th will be included in a draw for $250 to be used as a class for supplies, pizza party, etc. We received an overwhelming response from the schools wishing to register, which speaks to the success of the last year's event. 194 students are registered to attend so far, and the invitation will be extended to the public as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, that is where I understand from Gloria that there is overwhelming interest. So I think we're including as well, for ones that can't get into this, some other tours of some city facilities, as well as City Hall, to help accommodate some of that interest. Of course, these are future city workers, it's future councilors up tomorrow, so it's a great opportunity. I don't know if anyone had any questions on this? No? Good. So promote it away. Next, This is an interesting one. Deputy Mayor, spring cleanup, doing something a little different this year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This usually marks the beginning of summer, when you get rid of all your things you've collected over the winter. The City of Corner Brook is updating its spring cleanup process for 2025. Residents will have two options for disposing of their spring cleanup waste. Number one, first, during the month of May, Corner Brook residents can take advantage of the city-paid fees at Wild Cove landfill site. Proof of residency within the city limits will be required, and residents can dispose of their waste at no charge. Only residential waste will be accepted, similar to the Christmas bulk program. The second option you have is city staff will also be collecting bulk waste from curbsides in May. Residents will need to schedule an appointment using the online form or by calling the city's customer service team, and that's 637-1666. Additional details on this process will be provided in the coming weeks. No appointments can be booked at this time.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you can't jump the gun right yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But no, please, this one is one that's going to, I guess, spring cleanup is difficult. And we've had a number of problems over the last few years when it comes to the timing. So quite often people put things out earlier. Sometimes the contractor picks it up early and then it confuses people and people put it out late again. And there's some debris going around for multiple weeks and confusion. So we're trying something now following the lead of other municipalities in the province. I know out east, a number of the communities are doing this where you can schedule a pickup instead. So you put your stuff out on there. So you're, again, all the different difficult things to get rid of. We will facilitate getting that picked up. And we'll schedule a bunch during a certain time, and so it's not lingering. But it is going to be a different process. So look forward to some promo and some more information on social media channels and ads as well on how it'll work and how you'll do it. But we want to make sure that the garbage is getting where it's supposed to be in the dump. Yes?
It says, I guess maybe this might also be open for, to be fine-tuned, but it says during the month of May. Is that the full month of May, or will it be a particular period?
The landfill will be open all of May. We will pay the tipping fee. So if you bring it over to Wild Cove, and you show your license or something that says you're from Corner Brook, that's free. The other ones are scheduled appointments.
Right, but it's May 1 to 31.
There'll be more information coming out specifically when it'll happen.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
There'll probably be more, I would imagine, depending on scheduling, but this is something I guess that our staff has to work out, but it will probably be Monday to Friday kind of thing, I would guess, but we'll see. Mr. O'Brien might know more about this. He's the garbage man too, so he can probably tell us about this.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, you are correct. We are ironing out the final details, but essentially it'll look something similar of you'll make your appointment the week before, the week after the pickup will occur. So usually what other communities are doing is your cutoff is that Thursday, and then we set the routes, and the next week we pick up. But it will occur over those full 4 weeks of May, but we'll do our appointments that way.
Yes.
I was just going to highlight the first one, the first option of being able to take it to Wild Cove himself. I took advantage of that previously, and it was lying right back to the local number of people taking advantage. And it was busy this was a Saturday, but it was busy the whole day. So people are taking advantage of these opportunities, which is good to see because the waste is getting where it's supposed to go and not ending up where it shouldn't go. So it's a great opportunity for everyone to get rid of.
We had great response for the Christmas, offering that as an option. A lot of people did take advantage and do it at their own leisure.
Good question, Mr. Mayor, on option number 2. Just for some clarification, and I know the finer details are being worked out, but I'm a little bit confused on this one. So if I live on a particular street and I have bulk waste to go to I can take it over myself or I have it picked up. And I book my appointment for Thursday of the first week of May on my street. 10 other people on my street also book it for Thursday of that first week of May. The other 50 homes on my street, can they then book it for sometime on the second week of May, the third week of May, and or the fourth week of May? I'm just wondering how cumbersome this is becoming as opposed to the current system we got where people just put their bulk waste out by a certain date on your street, and the folks come along and they pick up whatever's on the street all at once. So I'm just wondering the logistics of this, and I know you probably don't have the answer to that, but just wondering how cumbersome it might become.
The idea is, though, essentially you're right, that people could, on the same street, could have different pickup times, but I think that engineering is going to figure out how to schedule a route to pick those things up. So once they have a bulk of orders, they can say, I'm going to get this and this and this one, and they'll work it out. It is going to be, like I said, this is our first year doing it this way, but we've been encountering quite a few problems with the old way, where we see garbage out for 3 or more weeks at a time. The other thing is cost. And remember, of course, when we did our garbage contract last year, the cost for bulk pickup went up substantially. And I don't know, what was it, Mr. O'Brien? What was the additional cost this year?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, essentially, I don't have the exact numbers, but it was essentially double from our last contract for spring
Right.
pickup.
Yeah, so it is so we're going to look at doing this with our own force, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, quick question in number 2 option. Can I have them come several times, or are you only allowed one pickup? Just asking for a friend.
What's your address again?
Found that in last
That's right, I figured that out. So I would imagine it would be one time.
one time.
Yes, that
Okay.
would be the idea,
Okay. Yeah, well, and all that needs to be ironed out.
yeah. There will be we'll have a lot of information out because.
But they are the questions that are going to be asked.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And will they take Christmas trees?
Christmas in July.
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just like to compliment staff. I think they were really making an effort to accommodate everybody. Yeah. And so we are listening, and we're doing our best to do what is best for our residents. I just thought I'd pass that.
No, I think the other thing with this is garbage is very difficult.
Yep.
And I think it might have been Councilor Granter brought it up before, some people don't have the ability to go to Wild Cove, and they do need some help. Other communities have done this through scheduled pickups. Some charge a fee for picking up garbage. So you can do bulk pickup during the year for a certain fee, and they'll do scheduled things. I think this is it's good to try new things. It could be a bit of an interesting adjustment, but hey,
Hopefully this will be on.
nothing ventured, nothing gained, like you said earlier. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
It might be interesting for us, my fellow councillor on Western Regional Services Board, to let them know that we're trying this out. They'd be interested in hearing about this.
Yeah, I think that I would imagine that Mr. O'Brien has already communicated.
Oh, cool.
Because, the free garbage thing that we're paying for, yeah, we got to make sure we're
Okay.
doing that right.
Excellent. And here I thought I was coming up with a brilliant idea all by myself.
Yes.
No, just final, I think last year, there was 1 week set aside for like metal, like dryers, and then it was another week for what's left. So how is that going to work?
And again, Mr. O'Brien, I don't know if you have an idea of that yet or how that works, but yeah, that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, we will be requesting things to be separate. But again, just give us some time to detail everything. We'll put out some good communication. And again, any questions, certainly we're available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Griffin, we have, this is excellent. The next step on our IMSP, new development regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Cornbrook is in the final stages of developing an integrated municipal sustainability plan and development regulations. These documents have been created through collaboration with city staff, municipal council, and input from the public and special interest groups. The IMSP will guide the city's sustainable development practices over the next decade, addressing critical environmental, social, economic issues impacting the community, and providing a framework for informed, sustainable decision-making. The plan aims to enhance sustainability practices, build resilience, and improve the quality of life for both the current and future generations. The city's planning consultant, Upland Planning and Design Studios, is finalizing the draft documents for the final public review before they proceed with the official adoption process through the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Upland Studios brings extensive experience in integrated planning and sustainability initiatives, making them well-equipped to lead this important project. Public consultation phase is a vital part of the process, offering residents, stakeholders, and community groups the chance to provide feedback, share ideas, and ensure the plan reflects the needs and goals of the community. The official consultation is scheduled to take place the weeks of April 7th to the 18th, 2025.
Okay. And just so, I guess it's not in the RFP itself, but right now I understand there are 3 planned sessions. At first anyway, a business development workshop on April 8th from 2 to 4 at City Hall, a public open house on April 9th from 7 to 8:30. That's also at City Hall, and a virtual open house on April 15th from 7 to 8. And that'll be online, and you can tune into that and participate. But just to remind council, I guess, and we've talked about this before, this is a step, I guess, before it goes through the formal planning steps that have to happen. So whenever we make a change for our development regulations or our IMSP, of course, we have to go through the Urban and Rural Planning Act process, where there are multiple steps where we have public consultation. The council has to approve as it goes through and can change things. So this is before we even get to that. So I'd, again, advise you to keep your eyes out and participate in the process. It is a planning document that does affect every part of the city for the next, well, at least 10 years. So please get involved. Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do, but it's not pertaining to this, so if anybody wants to jump in. I just want to register I have a question.
Yeah.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Just want to congratulate staff on this work. It's been a long process, and I think when it gets to the public feedback, they'll see that a lot of the questions and concerns and things have been addressed, but there's always room for more input, which is great. And I'm just looking at the media that they've developed to inform the public. It's quite well done, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Good. You have a question on this?
It reminded me of something else. Is that valid? It's another report. It's the waste. I just wanted to say, where are we with the watershed plan? It reminded me that we passed a motion to upgrade our watershed management plan. We passed a motion to upgrade our watershed management plan. I haven't heard about it since we did that, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to check on that.
Okay, we can put that on the next agenda.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we do have a couple of policies that we have to deal with. The first one is the sidewalk cafe policy. Councilor Grander.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this sidewalk cafe policy is to provide a framework which allows for the City of Corner Brook to evaluate applications for development of sidewalk cafes, outdoor eating areas on city-owned land in the downtown core. Over the past few years, sidewalk cafes have become increasingly popular in urban areas, offering a unique opportunity for restaurants, cafes, and bars to expand their seating capacity and create lively, pedestrian-friendly environments. These cafes have the potential to boost tourism, create a sense of community, and contribute to the economic revitalization of local business districts. The proposed policy provides regulations for sidewalk cafes between May the 15th to September the 30th annually. The sidewalk cafe policy aims to provide clear guidelines for businesses and staff, ensure public safety, enhance the streetscape, and contribute to local economy by fostering vibrant outdoor dining experiences. Be it resolved, Mr. Mayor, that the City of Corner Brook Council adopt the policy for sidewalk cafes. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm just looking at the proposed permit, I guess, for sidewalk cafes, and they talk about accessibility, liquor license, food establishment license, and so on. One concern I would have is if we could somehow include keeping this site around the outdoor cafes clean, because if the wind comes up and get things blown around, it's one thing, but especially if it's around bars now, we have a lot of cigarette butts and so on dumped on the sidewalk. I think it should be the responsibility of the owners to take care of that, make sure those things are cleaned up, so that people walking on the street next morning are not watching over all the cigarette butts and garbage and so on. Most people are fairly reasonable and look after, but we do get incidents and complaints, especially on weekends. I don't know if that can be included in there somewhere, Mr. Mayor, because we do give a permit and the person signs to say they agree with it and they'll comply with all the terms and conditions. So I'd like to see the cleanliness addressed as well.
This is number 25, I think.
What?
Conditions of approval, number 25, waste storage. Further, the operator of the sidewalk cafe is responsible for the removal of all waste/litter within the 3,000 mm. What's mm?
What?
What's mm?
In millimeter.
Oh, millimeter.
Yeah, so 3 meters.
3
10
meters.
feet.
Okay.
10 feet. Engineers and their millimeters. I noticed as well,
That's
yeah, one
very
of the things I was
precise.
looking at was 1,100 millimeters? 43 inches? Really?
I think it's in their own best interest to keep it clean anyway, right?
It is, absolutely.
Most businesses will do that.
And regardless of whether or not you have a sidewalk cafe, you're still responsible to clean up first.
I know,
I know.
most people don't respect it,
Yeah.
but they should.
100%.
It's in their own best interest.
Yes, but that is good. Good catch, Councillor. Anything else here? Questions? I think the idea is to streamline the process. We're getting increased questions for this type of thing. And, as mentioned in the RFP, that we do want to make sure it's done in a fair and safe way, it's accessible, and again, it complies with all the other licenses and things that have to be done. A very reasonable costs, I say, associated with it too. Again, it was a $100 fee, I think, and it was if we permit parking spots to be used, it could be $500 for a parking spot. But again, that's something that it seems very reasonable as a business decision. Fair reasonable. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just one quick question, and again, thanks staff for working on that. In the process of going to a new policy, did staff have any conversations with any of, say, the downtown core businesses that in the last number of years have established patios on the outside of their properties in coming up with this?
Yeah.
They're getting some advice?
And I don't know if this Mr. Burden's department, I guess, I don't know if
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if they had those conversations. Typically, they would, but I can't say for certain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I guess, glad to see accessibility is being included into it and to make sure that sidewalks are available to anyone who has
Yes, of course, absolutely.
accessibility issues.
Okay, well, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. And, Councillor Granter, another policy, election sign policy. Why would we be doing that now?
Probably no need this
I
year,
don't
Mr.
know,
Mayor.
yeah, there's no elections this year. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As previously reported, staff have been working on a full policy review. Part of that review is identifying changes that need to be implemented in current policies. With the upcoming elections, staff wanted to review the current election sign policy to ensure changes were made prior to any election signs being posted in the city. Changes made to the policy include definitions for clarification purposes, outlining provisions related to where signs are permitted and are not permitted, especially in regards to ensuring signs are not placed in an area where they may pose an obstruction that will be considered a safety hazard. Other changes include to stipulate that signs are only placed on private property if they have the owner's and occupant's permission. Campaigning is conducted in compliance with the Elections Act and to safeguard a fair and democratic campaign and election among candidates. The policy was revised in conjunction with other municipalities, similar policies and practices, and applies to all candidates of a municipal, provincial, federal, or for any other elections in the city, including but not limited to school boards and band councils. Attached is the current election policy as well as the new election policy, Mr. Mayor, being proposed to replace the existing one. Be it resolved to rescind the current election sign policy 020712 and replace it with the attached election sign policy 020712. That's the same number? Should that be a
Yeah,
different number,
that's
Mr. Mayor?
different. We could do that, though. We'll be here all night. We're sending one and then replacing with the same one. Yeah, I think that's the one.
An error in the number?
Yeah, the right number is, no, that's the old one. It should be 020745. Or it's 21, not 12?
12 and then 21.
Yeah. Both of them.
No, the actual policy.
We're replacing the old one
With the new one.
With the
with the
new.
new one. I think everyone's
Yes.
got that clear.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
The number will stay the same? Will it? Oh, okay.
We're not making a new one.
We are, it's a new one, but
It's
for
a
some
new one,
reason
but
we're
we're
using the same
replacing,
number.
yeah.
The date
We ran out of
changed,
numbers.
right? You got the dates.
Okay, so good. So yes, we have a motion. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Perfect, thank you. Questions on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have one question. I had two questions, and now that I've read it, I saw that it's for all candidates in all elections. Under 6.0, non-conformance process, that seems to always come up. You can have a policy when you have someone that's non-conformist. That's when the issue arises.
Yep.
It says, where in the opinion of a municipal enforcement officer, an election sign does not conform to the conditions of this policy, such sign or signs shall be removed. So the process of having them removed shall be removed. So does a request go out to a candidate? Does a request go out to the campaign team? Does a request go out to someone who's supporting that campaign to remove the sign, or is it the authority of the city to be able to go and remove the sign without notice?
And I think if you read further up in that same part there, it says if it's a safety issue, they will remove it, the MEOs will remove it immediately. If it's not, we will inform the campaign that it has to be removed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else there that anyone noticed? Yes, go
A
ahead.
comment that is certainly an improvement from our old one.
Yep,
These things out very, very clearly and what you can and cannot do.
yep,
What's going to happen if you don't.
yes, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, would if there's any violations there, does it have to be like someone has to call in a complaint, or if our municipal officers are out and about, if they see it, would they do it, or is it like a response, or is it reactive or proactive? I guess is what I'm saying.
Municipal enforcement will monitor it, but they will primarily be responding to complaints for
Okay.
the most part.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, given the fact that we're probably going to have a federal election pretty soon, and then probably a provincial one right after that, sometime in a few months, it'd be nice to have this, once we know who the candidates are, make sure we get a copy of this.
And I think part of it is a permitting process too, right? Yeah, there's a temporary license you need.
Yep.
So yes, as part of that process. It is obviously for municipal elections, it's easier because they have to register as candidates, so we give the package and you got to sign off on it. But you're right, it is it's a process for all.
Not sure the federal and or provincial would be
Yeah, as
so familiar with that. Let's put it that way.
we'll send 4 MEOs over. If we find out. They don't have a permit, take down those signs. Any other questions? Okay, let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contraminded? Carried. Okay, that's it for now. We are going to, yes?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to follow up on Councilor Gill's question about the watershed.
Yes?
We have a budget for that. I think staff is up to their eyeballs in getting the IMSP done. Once they get that done, they'll move into the watershed.
Yeah, I think that the other thing is, if I remember correctly, one follows from the other. So obviously, we can't, it's pointless for us to do watershed management policy.
Until the one that governs
Well,
it
if we
is-
have some changes in our IMSP that are, so if we say you can't do this, there's no point
Makes
us to
sense.
study that.
Makes sense.
Right?
Makes sense, thank you.
Anyway, there we go. Look, we solved some business already. Okay, we're going to have a brief in-camera session for council, so I'll ask everyone to stick around. But everyone at home, thank you very much for tuning in. Meeting adjourned.